just need to give me 1 second here. There we are. Hey, okay. Okay, hello everybody. Today we are going to do a fire play demo, and for those of you that have no clue what fire play is, well, there's lots of different kinds of fire play, but today we're only demonstrating one kind, and that's where you light somebody on fire, not completely, just parts, and put them out before you burn. And hopefully we're going to teach you the safest possible way to do this, so that you can, if you want, to try this on your own, though I would highly recommend that nobody ever tries this, because this is inherently dangerous and can go really wrong really quick, and we just don't want a lot of people getting hurt. So if you are going to try this at all, please pay very careful attention, and hopefully you'll do lots of practice before you try on an actual person. So just so that you get an idea of what we're talking about here, I'm just going to show you what it looks like, and then I'll start explaining, okay? So let's see here. Let's move this out of the way, and we are going to turn out the light so that you guys can really see what this looks like. And let's see here. Okay, we're going to set my arm on fire, so that way you all can see what this looks like. And this is going to take just a second. So let's see here. And go ahead. So that's what setting someone on fire is like. And we're going to do a couple more times and go. And you notice in that particular case, we had a trail and it puts itself out.
It just went out.
Okay, look at that again in a second. Okay, so go ahead and go. And so that's pretty cool. You can see that we're getting a trail and it is automatically putting itself out and it doesn't burn. Pretty cool. All right, so let's go back to a little bit of explanation here, and let's get the monitoring. Oh, it's working.
What if they're hairy?
Oh, yes. Well, that's part of the precaution list that I have written down here. I have a bunch of notes, so let me go over the notes here. So this way you do this in a safe and sane manner. Obviously, you can't do this on a hairy person. They have to be clean shaven, at least in the areas that you're going to set them on fire. So that is obviously a first thing. The next thing is the type of fuel that I use, and the only kind of fuel that I would ever recommend you using on a person's skin is alcohol. And you need to use medical grade alcohol that is mixed with water. And the reason why is that the water actually sort of forms a barrier to protect your skin from burning. So it gives you a little bit more time before you'll actually burn down to the skin. So you do need to make sure that you are using, and you can get this at any drugstore, and you'll often find bottles of alcohol that will say 70% or 80%. And that would mean that the 20 or 30% that isn't alcohol is actually water. And so you definitely only want to use alcohol. There are some people that actually are dumb enough to use other things like hand sanitizers and mousse, and but you have to be really careful because you don't want anything that possibly could have chemicals or produce toxic odors anything that might react with your skin. Pure medical grade alcohol with water is not going to do anything but burn cleanly. Okay, so are there any questions going by here that I need to answer?
Somebody asked if they could use gasoline.
No, you don't ever use gasoline. Gasoline is toxic in many ways, just the fumes alone. I'm sure that burning on your skin would probably produce some serious problems.
One was they keep asking what BDSM is.
BDSM is bondage, discipline, and sadomasochism. And was there any others? No? Okay. So if you have questions, hopefully the Ruthless is going to pick them up here, and then, or if we don't answer it, just please repeat. So how does fire play work? Well, that's what I'm getting to. The other thing is that when you pick your fuel, you definitely want to make sure, I would say, start with a lower percentage of alcohol and work your way up. Typically, I use anywhere from 70 to possibly 80-85% alcohol. And what seems to work best is about 75%. Now, you can't go by 75%, so you may have to mix that yourself. But I would just go ahead and start with 70%. And that's where I start. The next thing that you have to be really careful is of course, the hair issue. You don't want people with hair, so shave. Women are usually a little bit better. The hair on their arms or their body is usually very fine, but it will smell awful when you light them up the first time. So it's better just to make sure that they are clean shaved. And then the other thing is when you're applying the fuel, I use these little swabs, and I believe you can get these at like leather stores, or it's like a shoe polish kind of thing. So I use a little squirt bottle with the alcohol in it, and I usually just squirt it right onto the little swab, and then I will apply it to my skin. And when I do that, you need to make sure that you don't have any fuel running down your arm anywhere, because wherever fuel is, when you light it, it's gonna catch on fire, and you want it to be controlled, which is why I'm using this swab. Okay, let's see here. Of course, when you do light the alcohol on fire, the longer you leave it on fire, the more chance you have of burning the person that you've done this to. So you really need to limit the burn time to about a second and a half, because it's going to burn down to the skin level pretty quickly. And then the next thing is for safety. You need to have multiple ways of putting this out. Typically, you saw that when I did it a few seconds ago, that I used my hand to put it out. And that's really the most common way. But if something goes wrong, you need alternatives. And I highly recommend a fire extinguisher. And on top of that, I keep a wet towel. And this can just be thrown right on the skin, and it will just put everything out immediately. So I highly recommend having at least those two items handy when you're doing this. You need to be safe, and it's also a really good idea to have at least 2 people, if not 3 people, where at least 1 or 2 can act as the safety people involved as far as putting this out and making sure it gets out. One of the problems when you are putting it out with your hand is that you cannot let the fire slip back past your hand, because then it gets out of control. So you have to make sure that when you are putting it out, you make sure it's out the first time. You can't go back and try putting it out later, because it's just going to burn the person. So the way I train to do this, safely is, and we're going to do this now, is very simply, let's see if I can get this in a good position so you all can see this. This is just a simple pizza pan, and it's just sitting on a plate so I don't burn my table. So really, the easiest and simplest way to do this is to take your swab with the alcohol on it, and here, let me...
They want to know what size fire extinguisher.
Any fire extinguisher is fine. Yep, I know. So, I use a small kitchen one, but often if I'm like doing this in a club, the club fire extinguisher will usually be a little larger. So, so you wet down your swab, and of course, immediately once you do this, alcohol starts evaporating. And this is part of the key technique here of learning how to do this. If I just put a bunch of alcohol on here and then light it, let's turn the light up. You can see this burns for quite some time. And you don't want to do that. That's just not how you want it to play. Ideally, gotta be nice if we had a little bit more light in here. Could you open that just an inch? Perfect. That's fine. So ideally, what you want to do is if you lay down a little pattern, is you let it wait for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds before you light it. And then it burns for a lot less time, and it's easier to put out. Ideally, what you do is if you let it evaporate long enough, eventually it does like what it did on my arm, where you have a little 1-inch piece of fire that moves up your arm and then goes out by itself like that. So, and if you do that, then you're going to have the least possible chance of burning somebody. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to put out. Like I say, you just want to make sure that you don't leave any fire behind, because if you do that, you're going to be in serious trouble.
They want to know what the wand is.
Oh, the violet wand is a toy that I use. It's pretty much, I use it for a couple different purposes, but the main one for me is actually to set people on fire. It is, you can buy these at different sex stores or BDSM stores. It is a Tesla coil, and it's just like a tube. It's sort of like a plasma sphere, only more intense, but it will leave a little spark. And that's what I use to actually start the fire. What you don't want to do is you don't want to use matches. You don't want to use a lighter, because then in the process of trying to light the alcohol, whatever flame you're using is going to burn the person before you even get the alcohol lit.
Does it hurt and does it burn?
Well, it doesn't hurt. It's actually just a warm sensation. But obviously, if you leave the fire burning for long enough, it will burn all the way down to your skin level, and then it actually does burn and hurt, and you can get second-degree burns from it. I mean, if I just put on a bunch of alcohol and light it right away, you can see that it stays lit for a long time, and that is going to burn. So ideally, what you do is you lay down a little alcohol, and then you wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. And when you light it, you notice it goes out within about a second, second and a half. It also makes it easy to put out. Okay, so let's go back to setting me on fire for a minute, and so people can see the end result again. Here you go. So once again, let's see here, put my arm out, and a little alcohol, and you make sure it doesn't run, and go. And you can see I put it out pretty quickly. When I do that, just for that short period of time, the temperature gets up pretty warm. but not enough to even come close to actually burning me. And that's ideally what you want to do. So, see, I screwed up. Shouldn't let it go back. Fortunately, I do it so quickly that it won't even get a chance to burn me either way. So, okay, go. And you always want to make sure when you do it that you dry off the alcohol before you go again, because you're just going to keep doing more additive to it. And you can do little patterns, and let's see if I can do this so that it... Okay, so like the bottom one. That didn't work. Sort of hard to do this in the dark. Go ahead. So I'll show this a couple more times, and then I'll go back to showing how you practice. There you go. That was wonderful. We let it evaporate enough because the amount of alcohol on this little swab, the longer it sits out, the more it's evaporating, and the less time it takes to evaporate when it's on my arm. And that leads to the best possible reaction, because then I don't get burned and it goes up very quickly. Look at that. That's perfect. Perfect. Go ahead and do it again. And you can see that there's some remaining alcohol, which is why you do want to wipe it down afterwards. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, so let's go back, and I'm going to show you on the plate here some things that you can do. Because when I do this, I normally do this on people that are on a cross. So they're basically in a standing position with their legs spread and their arms are spread. And then what I will do is I will take the swab and I will start, let's say, on their left hand, and I will go all the way down their arm, across their back, and then down their right leg, all the way down to their ankle. And I will light it at the ankle, and you will have a little piece of flame that goes all the way up their body into their hand and then goes out. Or the other way I will do it is if they are laying on a table, I will light their back on fire. Now, when you do a person's back, there's a lot more area that you have to play with. And so therefore you can start doing patterns. For example, drying up very quickly here. Let's see here. It's okay. Actually, I don't think you need to hold on to it because I'm not going to put it out. I'm just going to let it burn for example purposes. So let's see if I can do it this way. So I should be able to light one end and have it go to the other end. Just letting it sit too long. There we go. That is better. More alcohol. So, you guys got any questions? So, I recommend that you start with this pan and you learn how to light it, learn how long you have to wait before you put it out. Yeah, my alcohol is just not working here. I think my swab is just saturated in water at this point. Okay, try that again. This is a pretty old mix, so it's not very high in alcohol content. There we go. Or we can do a circle. Oh, look at that. That's very cool. And as long as that flame is moving, that means it's not burning down to the skin. It's just evaporating above the skin. So it's sort of like your gas stove. You know, if you turn the gas on and then you light it after it's been on for a second, you sort of get that poof. That's the same effect that I'm actually trying to go for with the alcohol. That by putting it on and then letting it sit on the skin for a while, then you end up with just it evaporating above the skin, and so it never burns down to the skin. I'm sorry, I'm getting the wand too close to your iPad. The violet wand has a tendency to shut down electronic devices. So the safest way to learn how to do this is to get a pan like this and learn how the alcohol evaporates, see how it burns, and only then when you're comfortable with how it works and you're comfortable with putting it out on the pan, then you can try doing a very small section on a person. So here, let's go back to doing me again. And so if you're going to start, just start with a very small little 6-inch stripe. There you go. Do it again. And you see I don't even have to put it out. It's not getting even hot enough to burn me. So, and we can do it again. Another little stripe. And there we go. We just put it out. And so once you're comfortable with doing that, then you can go slightly bigger and slightly bigger, and to where you're doing your entire arm. And next time I'm in Vegas, Patty, I was going to do this and show you this when I was there the last time, but I completely forgot. We got so involved with the wand that we never had a chance to play with fire. So what do you guys think? Oh, hell, not me? So, okay, maybe Patty doesn't want to try it. So there you go, guys. That's the basics of fire play. And
they keep asking if you use it on genitals.
You can use it pretty much on any location you want. The problem with doing it on genitals is it's an area that's hard. It's not a flat surface that makes it easy to put out. And also, it could have a tendency to run downward and then be almost impossible to put out. So I wouldn't recommend it. It's better on flat surfaces, and you're better off with a small swab where you only got a little strip that you light on fire. And then once you get up a little bit better, well, then you can start doing bigger and bigger areas. But it just takes a lot of practice. Any questions? Does it leave marks? I have no marks. And it doesn't burn. It's just a really warm sensation, obviously, because it is fire. Are there any questions coming in at all?
One from Mojo.
Yeah?
Could you set her on fire?
Yeah. Next time I come down to Glendale, I'll set you on fire. Not a problem. We can gather all your friends and set you all on fire.
She said thank you.
You're welcome. Here, let me have this. I think we're pretty much done here. What time is it anyway? It's, yeah, we've gone for about a half hour. So a couple of things I just want to go over again is what?
Pacemakers and because of the wand.
Yeah, when you're using the wand, there are certain things that you have to be careful of, and you can get all the information on safety of this device off of my electrical play demos, and there should be 2 of those. So you can get any safety information for using this device on people from there. Basically, because it radiates this huge electromagnetic field around it, it will have a tendency to cause your iPad or your phone to go nuts or kill it completely. And it can also do the same for a pacemaker or an insulin pump or that kind of thing. So you have to be careful who you use this device on. But it is the nicest way to light the fire because the sensation is very mild, you barely feel it, and it lights very quickly. So there's no burning involved from doing this. And Patty does have experience with how this feels, so she can verify how this actually feels. It's not bad at all. One of the other things is, I forgot what I was talking about, is once again, yeah, make sure you're always using alcohol with water. Start at about 70% if that's what you're going to do, and then work your way up to maybe 80%. But 75 works really good for me, and I'm quite happy at 75% most of the time. I have gone up to about 85%. It burns much quicker, it evaporates faster, so you have less time to work with it. And because there's less water, then you lose that water barrier against your skin so that it burns down to the surface faster. And then, of course, that means it's going to get hotter on your skin quicker. So instead of getting a second or second and a half before you even get, you know, a minor burn, it could only be a half a second maybe if it's hot enough. So using a cooler burning fuel works best. Also, like I said, don't use anything other than medical grade alcohol, please. You know, I don't know why people are using mousse and hand sanitizers because they all have chemicals. They all can be toxic. They can, who knows what they will do to your skin when they're burning. So I would recommend you just avoid that like crazy. And also use a swab. Or you can use like a little cotton ball dipped in alcohol if you like, but make sure that you don't have any running or any dripping going on because wherever it drips, it's going to catch on fire and it's going to be really hard to put out. So be careful of that. And so that sort of covers it. Make sure you do have your wet towel and you have your fire extinguisher, and that's pretty much all you can do for safety. This is inherently dangerous, so I recommend you don't try it, but it will burn your hair off and it will smell really bad. So, so you know, don't do it unless you have to. There is one other thing I wanted to comment on, and that is my friend Mojo is doing a 5K. And let's see if I can get this on the screen so you can, oh no, how am I going to do this? So you can read it. Hopefully you can read that. Please go to this URL and you could donate money to RAININ, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. And this would be really cool if you could go there and donate some money or maybe join the team and do the run or whatever. So please take advantage of this. This is really a wonderful program. So, other things, if you're looking for toys, please go to frugaldom.com. That's FRUGALDOMME.com. And they have wonderful toys. Yes?
No,
oh,
come
okay.
on next week's.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mojo. There you go. Exactly. And I believe, Mojo, on that URL, you do have to have a capital G, a capital T, and a capital M in the Go Team Mojo. I tried it with all lowercase, and it did not take me there. So please remember the capital letters in Go Team Mojo. Okay, well, I think if you have any questions, now is the time, or we're gonna end this now.
Next week, toys.
Next week we're doing toys, I guess, or something.
Yeah, how to build a toy.
Okay, we're gonna have a do-it-yourself project, probably, or some toys or something. I am completely unaware. So, oh, I can actually read. Well, what the fuck? Okay. You know, starting Monday, there's a new version of Periscope coming out, and we're all going to get screwed because replays are going to show commercials. So if you want to watch my replays, I highly recommend you go to catch.me, katch.me/MistressXmas, and watch all of my videos there, or you can see any of this on YouTube, or just Google MistressXmas and you'll find me. Yep, and also they're apparently going to have a thing. If you say foul language in your chat, they're going to give you a 60-second ban or something crazy, is my understanding. I don't think it counts for the broadcasters, but it does for the chat. So anyways, coming Monday, there could be some crazy updates on Periscope that we may not like. So if you're worried, don't update Periscope. That probably won't make any difference. They'll probably all have it all on the host anyway. So anyways, everybody, yeah, in America we're only allowed to say fuck. Well, maybe not for long. Yeah, it's going to hurt a lot of people. A lot of people really have no control over their language. But like I said, my understanding is it doesn't affect what I say. It only affects what you say in chat. And it's like a 60-second ban or something stupid like that. And hopefully I'm completely wrong, because I did hear this from somebody that could possibly be unreliable. But guess we'll all find out Monday. All right, guys. You still playing with fire? Well, I was almost playing with fire. Okay, I'll set myself on fire one more time before I go. Okay? So one last time, and then we're gonna end this thing. Okay, here. Well, alcohol. So if you want a picture of me on fire, this would be the time to take a camera picture. Let's see if I can do about here. And, oh, I don't know if that's enough alcohol. Go ahead and try lighting it. Yeah, I didn't think I got enough on here. I think my bottle is almost empty. Okay, we'll try one more time. Yep, that's better. Go for it. And I'll do it again. You also watch out for your hair. You don't want to get your hair too close to this for obvious reasons. I have seen this go completely wrong and really fast on people. So please be careful when you're doing this on a real human. Yep, I know my alcohol's drying up. One more time. Oh, well, okay. One last one. Go. Oh. Okay, well, I think we are done, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed the demo, and hopefully if you try this, you try it safely and do it on a pan and try to get used to it. Alrighty, so what the heck is going on there? It's like somebody else's scope. Okay, I think we are done. Oh, how come some people are not getting blocked? All right, bye-bye, everybody.